Hi, I'm Len Edgerly, and I had hoped to do a very careful comparison of four tablets. I've got a Kobo tablet, I've got the Boox Note Air tablet, and the Remarkable tablet, and the newly arrived Kindle Scribe, which I've been spending a lot of time about. And I put up a video last week, I think, on that when the embargo lifted on the review copy. I had hoped to be able to show you actual screenshots of the tablets so that I could compare the UI and some of the aspects of it. Unfortunately, in moving our stuff down from Cambridge to Sanibel, I forgot kind of a gooseneck thing which enables me to hold the iPhone over it in a way that is steady and easy to see. I will catch up with that piece of equipment and probably do another video sometime in the future. But I think I've got enough experience and I've done enough thinking about this to give you some general impressions. And I was thinking when I was putting it together, I've got it on my Kindle Scribe here, I was calling it Tale of Four Tablets. And the idea was I would start with all four tablets, and I've got them right here at my desk, and we would vote them one by one off the island to see who's left. And spoiler alert, you probably can guess which one is going to be left, but I'll use this image of the Survivor show as a way to frame how we're going to talk about it. With the four tablets, I'm going to start with the Kobo because there are some things about it I really like, and the most important one is that they have enabled it so that if you have a Kobo book, get that into where you can at least see it, you can highlight the book, you can annotate the book, you can draw a line across, and you can write, I'm going to write nice right there. It's got a button that does weird things. Okay, so I've made an annotation in my Kobo book. And Amazon, in designing the Scribe, decided not to make that a way that you could annotate a Kindle book. And the reason is because it's very challenging. If I make an annotation on this size of a font, and then I increase the font, I'll show you what happens. So we've got this book, The Things They Carried, and I'm going to hit the fonts button, and I'm going to increase the font size by just one step on, okay. So now, when we go back to it, and we have to find where it is, okay, now instead of seeing the annotation that I made, you can see there's brackets and there's a little squiggle. And if you tap on the squiggle, it will show you the annotation that I made at the smaller font size. So I can see exactly what it does. But it's not able to move the annotation size up or down while you are moving the font size up or down. And this same thing happens if you make the font smaller than the one that you do your annotation in. Now, this isn't really a problem if you don't change font sizes. If you've got your favorite font, you read your Kobo books, you can make the kinds of annotations that I've always made on paper books that I really like doing, and they will be just fine. And it answers a question I had as to why Amazon didn't do this. I thought maybe the publishers have put some kind of a block on this, that you're messing with intellectual property by being able to annotate your books. Kobo is buying books from the same publishers that Amazon is. It's possible they're favoring Kobo because, there's a real battle between the publishers and Amazon still. But that's one thing I will say about the Kobo in preparation for telling you why I'm voting them off the island. Now, the thing which is so exciting about these tablet devices is that you can write on them, and you can make a notebook, and you can see I'm not as familiar with how to get to navigate. Okay, so now I'm at the Kobo, and at the bottom there, I'm going to tap on my notebooks, and I've created some notebooks to see. I'll just create a new notebook, and I'll say test or something like that. Give it a name, basic notebook. I've got just a blank screen here, or graph paper. You can choose different templates. That's the same as on all of them. The thing which I think is crucial to actually have these tablets be like writing on paper is that when you write, this Kobo thing has 2 buttons and you have to make sure you're on the right one. When you write, there is no delay. And with the Kobo, I'm sensing a slight latency, which is just noticeable enough to end that feeling that you're writing with a pencil. I mean, when you're writing on pencil and paper, there's no latency. The minute you make the mark, it goes down. And now, as I'm doing this now, the latency doesn't seem as bad as it has been in the past with the Kobo. So it's possible they're improving it. But the other thing is that the stylus, it seems to skip some of the time. My experience of this Kobo, which I bought maybe a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, it's the Elipsa, just doesn't write as smoothly as the other 3 tablets. And given that the game that we're in here is which of these tablets is a plausible new way to capture actual handwriting as well as read things, because of the latency issue, then we're unfortunately voting the Kobo Elipsa off the island. Now, before it goes, I'll tell you a little bit, some of the details about it. You can buy one, I think they're on sale. There is a $400 package that includes a stylus and a cover. It's called the Elipsa Pack. The resolution on the Elipsa is not as good as the Scribe. It's 227 ppi. That's the same as the other 2 contenders, by the way. The Scribe has 300. It's just a brilliant screen. It does pretty well on weight, which I think is important. It weighs only 13.5 ounces. The Scribe is the heaviest one, 15.3, and the other 2 are in the 14-ounce range. But one thing which kind of offsets that is that the case for the Kobo that I have is quite heavy. So when I'm holding it with the case, I don't think, oh, this is much lighter than the Scribe. I think maybe Scribe plus case is probably comparable to Kobo plus case. Now, an advantage of the Kobo clearly is if you have been reading Kobo books for years and you've got a big Kobo library, you get the same advantage with the Kobo Elipsa that Kindle readers get with the Scribe. You can write notes and do notebooks and all of that. Plus, it's just a different e-reader to read your Kobo books on. And they've solved the problem of the annotations within the Kobo books. So slight advantage there. So that's the Kobo. It's going off the island because of the latency and just the slightly irritating feel of the pencil, at least in my experience. That leaves the Boox Note Air and the Remarkable and the Scribe. So let's see who we're going to look at next. I think that we are going to look at we're going to look at the Boox. Now, the Boox is a very interesting device. It's made by a company from China, Onyx. And if you go to the website for Onyx or for Boox, Boox Note Air, they have a ton of these tablets. There's like 8 different kinds with different names and very advanced technology, very impressive technology. I think I bought this one about a year ago. It's very light. It's 14.8 ounces. And it's very powerful. There's all kinds of things you can do in the UI. Frankly, I haven't had a chance to really learn much about how to do it. The action of the pen seems good. Now, one thing that's interesting that I heard from my friend Tom Semple from the podcast, these pens are generally interchangeable. I lost the pen for the Boox Note Air, but I have been able to write on it with my Scribe pen. And so I think they're all based on similar e-ink technology with the pens. So that's an advantage. The books, let's see, they are selling that for $480, but a leather case costs an additional $60, and the pen costs an additional $46. So that puts it up well over kind of in the same price range as the Scribe. I'll tell you the pricing on the Scribe next. You can't read your Kindle library. You might be able to read your Kobo books, but you'd have to sort of fight with the DRM and the digital rights management. Clearly not as seamless a process to read either Kindle books or Kobo books on this device as those two that are dedicated to their own platforms. But if you're looking for a very kind of sophisticated, sleek tablet that does all kinds of things, this would be worth playing around with. I don't know if it's like a Ferrari and these other ones are more affordable cars with less things to learn. I won't say it's a Tesla because I think Teslas are great, and I would buy a Tesla before I would buy this. But this one's going off the island next. That's the Boox Note Air, and that leaves, I think, the two big choices that people are looking at as the Scribe arrives are the Remarkable, which has been out for maybe 2 years now. I got one early on. I got the original Remarkable, and then I got the Remarkable 2, and I've loved it. In fact, it's the one that I was hoping that Amazon would do something to replicate, because I was taking notes on it, and the action is very good with its pen. No latency. Let's see. Okay, I can write fast. Feels just like a pencil, and so it passes that really important test of the ease of use. Now, the Remarkable has had updates in the time that it's kind of been the leading tablet. And so the interface is a little more sophisticated than the Scribe. The Scribe came out, it's coming out before Christmas. I think there are going to be updates coming. One example, which I would expect the Scribe to have eventually, is that you can copy and paste or cut and paste. So if you have made a kind of a complicated note, I did my Kindle Chronicles notes on this back for episode 700, I guess. You can circle something and then move it to a different place. You can copy it, put it on a different page of the document. That's very handy. The Scribe, you've got the ability to delete a selection, and if you tap that and then you circle something, the selection just disappears. But it's not cut, so you can paste it somewhere. And there are some other examples, pen width, all these choices. If you work through all of the different things you can do on the Remarkable, just by menu choices, I bet it's 2 or 3 times the choices that you get on the Scribe. One thing on this Scribe, and there may be other covers, it simply folds open. It's a nice leather cover. It's very nice. But this doesn't serve as a stand. And the Kobo cover and the Scribe cover both have sort of origami aspects to them, so that they will both sit up so that you can read at your desk or a table, and they will slant down at sort of an angle that's more comfortable for writing on. So Remarkable, not so handy in those two cases. Remarkable is also pretty pricey. The latest pricing for the Remarkable 2 is $299. The marker costs $129. and the folio costs $169. So that adds up to $597 for the whole package. The other thing that Remarkable excels at least at this point, is once you create something, a note, you can send it to Dropbox, you can send it, there's kind of a Remarkable app I've got on my Macintosh, and so when I write on the Remarkable, it shows up immediately on the app on my computer. There may be a subscription price to be able to do that, I'm not sure. But they've built out the ways to move what you do on the device to useful places on other devices or the cloud. I would expect the Scribe to, imitate that. And at this point, the only thing you can do with something that you create on the Scribe is email it to yourself or to, I think, up to 5 people per document. And I did that with my friend Kes Woodward. I wrote a long email to him, a handwritten email, and I sent it to him from the Scribe. And then it got a little perplexing to him because he replied to it and it said that it had sent it to some Amazon email address. It hadn't come back straight to me. And that was operator error on my part, because if I had sent that note to Kes to myself, then I would have had a PDF of it and I could have emailed that to him, and when he replied, he would be replying to me. So that's something I learned about that. So Remarkable, it doesn't let you read your Kindle books or your Kobo books with any ease. I think I tried to take a Kindle book and run it through that program that Caliber that took the DRM off, and then it was more work than it was worth, to tell you the truth. So for me, not being able to read my Kindle books is enough of a thing to offset the advantages of the Scribe. If you're just looking for a notebook and you're not so much interested in reading books, the Remarkable is terrific. And it also handles PDFs really well. The same thing, you can annotate, you can send your PDFs, you can share, and all of that. I'm sure Remarkable is hearing big footfalls behind them as the Scribe appears, and it will be interesting to see how these two products battle it out in the marketplace. Off the island, the Remarkable. That leaves the Kindle Scribe, which I've been using for several weeks now, and I think that the big advantage, well, there's a couple of advantages I'll talk about. One is this has a higher resolution, 300 ppi. All the rest of them have 227 ppi. The weight is fine. It's 15.3 ounces. It's a little heavier than the Remarkable and the Boox, and the Kobo is almost 2 ounces lighter than this. So, that's not nothing. The pricing is pretty reasonable. If you pay $390 with the premium pen is included, and then you can get a fabric cover for $60 or a leather cover for $80 or a premium leather for $100. I really recommend the premium pen for, all right, this is Remarkable. This is Kobo. I get too many styli. All right, here's the Amazon pen. And the reason I like the premium pen is that at the tip, it has an eraser. And it's not, you don't have to buy new ones to replace it. You have to buy new nibs because it wears down. But when I'm writing along, it's really much easier and handier if I'm writing something and then I just flip the pen over and I erase, just like you would with an eraser on a pencil. If you have the basic pen, you would have to pull up the tools on the side of the page and then go to eraser, and then your pen is an eraser, and you can erase with the tip of the pen. But it's like a two-step process. You got to tap there, tap there, tap there, and then tap back to continue writing as a pen. And with all those taps, the person with the premium pen has already erased the thing and gone on. I'm not sure how much more. I think the premium pen is maybe $30 more than the basic pen for the Scribe. Trying to think of, I think that one thing I want to mention does relate to the styluses. Now, each of these has a way to store the stylus with a magnetic connection. This is similar to what you have on an iPad if you're familiar with the Apple Pencil. And so you drop it in there, and at first I thought, well, that's cool. That's the way I'll just always, put the stylus in. One thing I don't like about the Scribe is that you have to pick the right side to put it in. It's not equally magnetic on either side. And for some reason, when it's just sitting there with its little magnetic connection, I can sometimes lose it, and it's really a pain in the neck to lose the Scribe or misplace it. You're about to write something. Where is the stylus? And I don't think it has Bluetooth. You can't find it. You just go hunt for it, and it's something that, you don't want to do. So instead, there's this analog part of the cover, and the stylus simply slips in there. And that's where I'm doing it now, because once I've slipped it in there, it's never going to kind of get knocked off of my knapsack, and it's, I don't lose it there. And then when I open up to read, I just lift this up, and there's my page, and I'm right to it. I pull the stylus out, and I'm good to go. Kobo, which was early kicked off the island, has a similar ability. So their pencil hides in here at the top. And it's kind of snaps in. I guess there's probably a magnetic part to that, but it's sort of a physical snapping in, and then you fold it over. So I think that Scribe, that pen is probably not as losable as the Remarkable, because the Remarkable, the only way that you have to keep your stylus is a magnetic connection right there. So I like these little stitched places where you can put the stylus on the Scribe. I think one thing I'll say about the Scribe after another week or so of using it is I'm starting to really enjoy its simplicity. And I don't think this is just rationalization over the Remarkable. The fact that there are so few choices. I mean, I can choose different pen widths, fine, thin, medium, thick, heavy. I use thin when I'm writing. I use heavy when I'm doing a title. And then there's a highlighting choice. But it's kind of a minimalist set of things to worry about learning. And it has all my Kindle books on it. So when I pick this up, as opposed to picking up my iPad or going to my computer, I'm picking up something which is for reading books, reading and annotating PDFs. It's flawless for doing that, very handy, or making freeform notes. And that sort of captures a certain part of my creative life, which is very important to me, reading and writing and making content. It leaves out Twitter, everything in color, the internet, news, all of the things which tend to distract me from these activities of reading and writing are simply not here. So when I physically reach for this, I'm reaching for a tool which is built for the use. It's dedicated, and Amazon has smartly emphasized this, as have the other makers of these tablets, because obviously they can't compete with the beauty and the speed and all the things you can do on a tablet of any kind. But I've grown to just really love it, and when I'm carrying it with me from renting one house while we repair this house from the hurricane, I just reach for this, and then I walk down the street and I set up, and it's there to read my book when I'm on the couch with Darlene and Sophie. Or the other thing I've started doing, I'm taking a course on The Mystics by Jim Finley. I'm in the midst of it. It starts in another hour and a half today. And I have always been a big journaler. And he says journaling can be a real part of practice. I do a lot of sitting practice. So I've thought maybe each day I'll do 20 minutes of journaling in the Scribe. And I picked kind of thin lines, and today was the first day I did it. I like it pretty well. I mean, it's not the same as a nice gel pen on a moleskin page, which is how I've done journals for years. But it has the advantage that I can just kick it up to the cloud. I mean, at this point, I email it to myself and then decide what to do with it. Darlene said, well, I'm not sure I'm in favor of that, because if something happens to you, all of that stuff's going to be in the cloud. None of us is going to know how to get to it. That's a fair point. And I've got a document I'm trying to update as to what to do when I'm gone and how to get at all my stuff. But those paper journals, they can get lost too. So I don't know. I think I'm going to try a daily journal practice on this, which is my reading and writing tool. And then I do lots of other activities on it. I'm learning how I'm going to use this device, and I'm looking forward to how it gets improved. One thing I'll mention, which was really a disappointment to me, I thought this was going to be great for I've got a grandson who's got some writing challenges. He's so smart, but he's just, he's working on his handwriting. And I had an extra one of these as I came out of the whole process of the rollout. So I said, this would be great. So gave it to him. And his dad was saying, okay, great. He can read books here. I want to download his child's profile from the parental controls that they have on the kids' Kindle devices, the Alexas. Everything is nicely protected in a way that the parents can control. And he got to a place, and I replicated it. It said, child profiles cannot be downloaded to this device. So they can be downloaded to a Paperwhite, to a basic Kindle, to an Oasis, to tablets, all other things. But at this point, the Scribe, you can't do that. So if you're concerned about what young person, 8 years old, you don't want them, even with a clunky browser on this thing, a kid without guardrails could get to places you wouldn't want them to go. I hope they eventually figure out how to put the parental controls on this device the way all the other Kindle devices have it. But at this point, we've decided to, Jake's not going to get the Scribe. So I've got an older grandson that might like it. I'm not going to have any trouble getting rid of the Scribe. But I would just point that out. If you're thinking about a Scribe for someone that you want to have parental controls on, it's not ready for that yet. I'm not sure how it works with the Kobo and the other devices. I doubt now, Kobo probably has some parental controls as well. So that's one tablet is left on the island. I'm really enjoying it. I hope that if you have any questions, you can leave comments here on this video, and I like responding to questions, something that I said that was confusing or you just like more information about. And if I can find some way to put my iPhone right over this so that we get a nice clear picture, I'll probably have some other things to say by video as well. Thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful to you. And my Kindle Chronicles podcast comes up once or twice a month these days. And I'm also starting another podcast, Sanibel Chronicles. I hope to get that started in January, which will chronicle the rebuilding of the island here, which is just still in a completely devastated condition after Hurricane Ian more than 2 months ago. So I'd like to connect with people on the island who are doing good work and maybe do what I can to be useful with a new podcast. Darlene has some worries about that as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.